Hello and welcome back, Sharpies. Welcome to this edition of Steel Sharpens Steel with our special guest, James Herndon. James, introduce yourself to the people.
How you all doing, everybody? I thank you guys for having me on tonight. I will try not to mess up your couch while I'm in your mode.
That's fine. We put down traps for roaches, so
Oh,
we're not anticipating any problems. So, welcome to this exciting edition of Steel Sharpens Steel. This is the first time we've actually had a special guest since the introduction of my lovely co-host, who I will allow to introduce herself right now.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Joy Stevens, co host with the Most. I'm going to roll with that.
Yes, you are rolling with it.
And good to see everybody in the room. Once again, Anthony Turner, one of the first Sharpies, with
That's
him and
right.
CJ to have ever appeared on the show, still holding his place by a full 30 seconds,
Wow, look at
being the
that.
first one in the room.
And we have a shout out from Jessica Rivers Muse, who is still having a happy holidays banner around her Facebook profile. Mark Stepney celebrating the founding of his fraternity. Vera Jordan, ret to go.
Hmm.
Ravine shouting out everybody, including all the Sharpies. That's a foxy dress, sister. I see you. Ursula up in the house. We love it. And Anthony is he is here after hitting the punching bag just before the show. So that's I don't know how to feel about that. Hopefully, we are not the object of his ire. But we are here with a very, very full show. We are going to be getting to perhaps the most impactful story for us as Black Americans. That's the issue of the release of the Tyree Nichols video. However, we do have a lot of other topics to talk about. And first up is a New York Times article which basically reveals that Barr was the worst AG, like basically ever in the history of AGs. Super corrupt. A lot of information that has heretofore been unreleased. Thanks to the New York Times reporting, we have information that the investigation, while putatively centered on trying to figure out who was doing Trump wrong in the quote unquote witch hunt, or as Don Jr. would say, we are doing a report on the witch hunt that took place while my dad was president, and we had someone investigating the witch hunt because the witch hunt was about witches and hunting. Um, Don, there are a variety of 12-step programs that will help you out with that. I'm just saying, bro. Like, I went to school in Florida, so I'm
Get you
very
one.
aware of your drug of choice. You need to chill out on that. You lost weight, man. You're not looking good. And the ticks and the weird jawline and the super animated air quotes that actually look like a pantomime bunny show from Plato's Republic is
Little bunny
more than
foo
we can
foo
do.
is what somebody
Little
called it.
bunny foo foo,
wow.
and that's not a good thing, Don. It's really really not a good thing. But we're talking about a person who was working in your father's administration, Don, and that is Barr. So a lot was made of the Hunter Biden laptops, and there were going to be all these revelations and laptops and tips and tops and all of these things. Come to find out, Trump actually was being investigated as a part of that as well. Not that any of us knew it. And we knew about the shenanigans with Barr's casting of the Mueller report, but if you are not a subscriber to New York Times, it is a paywalled site, of course. It is well worth the trial. First of all, you can get the New York Times for $1 a week digital edition, which is a spectacular value. It lasts for like 6 months. So it's well worth your $6 to get 6 months of hard-hitting, insightful journalism. But this article is a doozy. It is too much to really fully cover, but I want to give James an opportunity. Did you get a chance to see that article or read articles about the article? Because it was quite a bit of reading.
This was quite a bit of reading, and my head is still spinning of the clown show that this was. I mean, investigation upon investigation upon investigation, and then hitting brick walls with no lead up to anything concrete, only to be like, well, we're going to push through. And by pushing through, I mean, go to a judge, try to get a subpoena. Judge denies it. Well, I'm going to go around that judge, convene a jury so we can still find more evidence because I know it's out there and we're going to get it.
Except that there
No.
was no there.
No. It was definitely there, just like there was weapons of mass destruction.
And yellow cake.
Yellow cake.
Yeah, exactly.
See, and Joy, in anticipation of the yellow cake argument, is wearing a lovely yellow blouse, and so
And I got cakes.
she got cakes. It is really symptomatic of what we already knew about the Trump administration in general, but also in specific with what his team was doing in terms of creating misdirection, trying to create confusion, and trying to put any focus on any subject other than him, because the egregiousness of his misconduct was so pointed that he needed everything in the world to try to counteract it, including Kayleigh McEnany literally lying every single time she took the podium before he bounced for 300 days without a press briefing. Unprecedented in my time. Even in the Nixon administration, they didn't go 300 days without a press briefing. So that just tells you another thing about this team.
To your point, tells you something else. Tells you something else about this team. The fact that we as a country can look at the collective years span of while Trump was in power, what he did while he was here, what he's done since then, and go, meh. I mean, there's a lot of us that are outraged, but that outrage is waxing. Like, I'm so sick of yelling into the air about how bad this dude is, and the ones that rode with him are still riding with him. And I can't help but think back to, because his name has been in the news recently, and then I blanked on it. He ran for president like.
Oh, Huckabee?
No. Before that, he got kind of ousted from the
Buchanan
campaign before that, because he was like, we're gonna go here and we're gonna go there.
Oh, James Dean. Arr! Yeah, him.
Dean.
Dean.
That one thing knocked
Was
him
enough
out.
to derail him.
Just that.
You got whole ass Ponzi scheme liars elected to Congress, shamelessly holding
Understand
on to their
this.
seat.
Trump and his administration, we have not seen this level of insidious corruption and cronyism since Warren G. Harding, which ironically was 1920s.
Which is even I said James Dean, Howard Dean.
Howard, yes.
And the 1920s is not even long enough to separate Kevin McCarthy's almost failed bid to become speaker. You have to go all the way back to Reconstruction.
Yeah, to the 1800s.
To get a speakership that withstood so many different votes. And so it just gives us an impression. I mean, as somebody said, water is wet. The Trump administration was the most corrupt. And clearly there are issues that continue to be problematic with his administration. But because of the revelations about Biden having documents, followed by the revelation that Pence had documents, on the heels of that was the revelation that the National Archives basically said, if you're a president and you're alive, can you check your garage for shit? Because we think you might have some classified documents. And very quickly, Barack Obama, Bill Clinton, and George Bush were like, nah, we ain't got nothing. We're good. We turned in all our stuff at the end of our administrations.
Because we know what the hell we doing.
Well, but I mean, to the point, Barack, your vice president didn't do it. So, right. Mr. President, maybe you might want to check that Filofax just in case there might be, something Joe dropped off as a Christmas present that might have some classified stuff in it. But it is a real challenge, and I'm glad that they're taking a proactive step. I mean, as soon as Biden, and this is in November, when it was first revealed to him that the documents had been found, I would have thought you would have had some of your Secret Service people come over and check it out. Like, can you see if maybe I have some more stuff? But it took 4 or 5 tries to get it all. And we're still not exactly sure if we've got it all, but we're working toward it. And so there are definitely some positive things coming out of this, and it looks like we're at least trying to right the ship and get things on the right track, which is about all we can ask of any of our leaders, to try to uphold the public trust and try to get people back on track.
there's an we know there's an echo. Trying to figure out where it is. So, in the interest of it might be me. I'm gonna leave and come right back and see if I am the problem.
Okay. Well, we'll see you shortly. All right.
I will say quickly though, in Biden's defense, he is old. And
Sure.
so he made to say it slipped his mind is not a far fetched thing, but I do get 5 months. You know, you kind of want to get on top of that ASAP.
Well, I think the other critical issue that has not been so much borne out in the press is that there are levels of classification.
Absolutely.
Right. So, it is possible, it is more than possible that what Biden actually has is, I mean, there's been no reporting, it should be said. There's been no reporting that anything that Biden has been found or Pence has been found to have in their possession was the highly compartmentalized data that included nuclear capabilities of foreign states. There's nothing in it to say that it was top secret classification. There's levels of classification. And so in the Senate files, probably for Biden in the Senate files, those things may not even be classified anymore. I mean,
Right.
they've been sitting in a garage, and so who knows? It may have been a classification about, the president or this senator is going to be here, and so it's classified because we don't want it out ahead of time. But if that trip happened 30 years ago, then nobody cares if it's classified. It's not good. It's definitely not good that he had them and he kept them, but it's not an issue of defending state secrets because those classified documents are many decades old, and then his time as vice president, even though those are only technically 6 years old, what Trump had was months old.
Absolutely.
So
and threats to national security.
And
currently.
a threat to national security because of the nature of the document. So it is not fair to say, oh, it's the same thing. Biden did the same thing. First of all, Biden didn't do the same thing. As soon as they found them, they turned them immediately over. When the FBI said, we want to come in, when Justice came in and said that we want to come in and search, he said, please, just come to my house, come to my office, do whatever you need to do to get it. And Pence did the same thing, although it was a little more fractious with Pence because Pence's lawyer was trying to get some things done. And they were like, wait. The FBI's already here. We're ready to send it to you. And they're like, yeah, that's good. We're just going to come get it. So.
Really, Chan?
Oh, wow, Chan. I will say this. Some of you with the sharp eyes may notice that we have changed some things about the show. And one of the things that we like about this branding is that your pictures are much bigger now. Look at Chan. You can actually see what Chan looks like.
Mm-hmm.
So,
I
and
see
you
you
can
out
see what
there,
Anthony
Anthony.
looks like. Look at Anthony. See, look at everybody's face. You're almost as big as our faces. That's great.
Yeah.
People whose faces have been on television this week for less than great reasons include everybody's favorite idiot from Georgia, Marjorie Taylor Greene. This is your state, Joy, so I'm going to give you the opportunity to ladle this grease on her. Tip everybody to what's going on.
I don't live in Georgia. I live in Atlanta. There's a difference.
There is a
I
difference.
live in the A, right? So I'm not with her. We don't claim her. But if you must know, this woman. Let me see if I can find that picture. This chick right here.
Stop the steal. Good
Yeah.
Lord.
Yeah. This is an old picture of her, but not that old because the same number of wrinkles in her eyes that she has now. So, good on you for not aging. Well, no. But anyway.
Yeah, you know that's that hyaluronic acid that she got. That's the only thing keeping her eyes from being fully stretched back to the sides of her face.
Right.
But go ahead.
But so she tried to have an amendment passed. You know what? Dearly beloved, we are gathered here today to get through this thing called life.
Electric word life. It means
forever.
forever.
That's a mighty long time. But I'm here to tell you, there's something else. We hear the echo too.
Oh my God.
So, but my thing is, she tried to pass an amendment that would stop Biden from being able to declare an emergency from a fuel resources standpoint, stop him from being able to sell any of our oil reserves to anyone, but especially China, et cetera, et cetera. And she was so focused on, we got to stop him from doing stuff with China, which he's not actually even planning to do. It was her old friend that used to be all up in bed with China. But She wanted to, if what she wanted to do in her amendment would
China.
effectively have crippled our, let's call it oil traffic, if you will. It was a stupid thing, and it comes from not understanding how government works, how international trade works, and so even her own people, remember, to stereotype a party, a lot of Republicans is rich AF, and they
Right.
be doing that oil shit. And what you're not gonna do is mess with their money. So her little amendment got 14 people. 14 people. How many people are in the House of Representatives?
300.
No. 435,
Oh, 400. Sorry. 30.
I think.
That's,
Because it was 418. It was 418 plus 14. So some people didn't vote.
So
But
that's
yeah,
like
Yeah.
2%, right? Somewhere in there. She got
Embarrassing.
2%. What's funny is she got trolled by her own party.
yeah.
Right. Her own
Boulder.
folks was like, even Ocasio-Cortez was like, dang, my green bill got more than that. Goddamn,
Oh, for psilocybin. For
yes.
psilocybin got more votes.
More votes, yes.
For a mind-altering drug, got more votes than Marjorie Taylor Greene's amendment. And you're right. Tell them about that Lauren Boebert trolling, James.
She basically posted on Twitter, was happy like she just won the lottery, and she was bright-eyed, bushy-tailed like a freshman cheerleader, and just made the squad. Was like, hey, I just want to let you know, all of my amendments passed today. It's wonderful. It's a great day for Congress, and this is your government at work. See, it does what it's supposed to do. I was just like, wow, this, like your own part. Okay, this is what they do over there.
Yeah, and clearly, what Lauren didn't say, although some people are saying she subtweeted, she was subtweeting MTG, was some people don't know how it feels like to have all of their amendments passed.
Right. My stuff passed on the first shot. Here's to having government work like it's supposed to. Like, damn. Incidentally, in the words of Taylor Swift, Tom, it's you. Hi, you're the problem. It's you.
So I'm creating the echo?
Watch. Hold up. I'm going to mute him. Now, James, say something to me.
The sky is blue, green, grass is green,
Water is wet.
Yeah,
right?
All the good stuff.
Oh. And then we bring him back.
Uh-oh.
Dun, dun, dun.
Okay, how about now?
1, 2, 3. And yes!
Ooh,
Hooray for technology.
Okay, so now it's working.
Yes.
it's
Okay,
working.
I put on echo cancellation. So,
Oh, well, there you go.
Thank you, StreamYard, for your outstanding technology. We appreciate you. This episode brought to you by the wonderful folks at StreamYard.
Literally brought to you by StreamYard.
Literally brought to you by StreamYard. So Marjorie Taylor Greene not having a particularly good week. Wow.
Okay, first of
Thank
all,
you,
Jeannie
First, I
Jordan
love
Jones.
Schoolhouse Rock. I love Schoolhouse Rock.
Wait, hang on. Now that we can see people in these pictures, first of all, ma'am, the coat. Okay.
Slaying.
Yes, do that. Do that. Profile picture is fire, first of all.
Fire.
But yes, we need school. I was talking to someone today because in a microcosm where I live, I am the president of my HOA. I'm dealing with the same type of fuckery. We have our own little QAnon. We got our own little conspiracy theorists who haven't paid attention to anything in 5 years and now want to stop us because we're trying to repair the building. Help me help you, jackass. And so and they don't understand representative democracy. They don't understand that just because you don't like something doesn't make it illegal. They don't understand that you can't just decide as a random person that we should change everything because you don't like it. And when you're invited to change the process, you get mad because we asked you to do some work. That's what I'm dealing with right now. And that's what we're dealing with in a government level. And if more people understood, we just need, I'm just a bill. If we could just get that back so people
Basic
understand.
civics.
If we can get people, we never really broke our underlying unconscious reliance on monarchy. We still, having separated from the British monarchy in the late 1700s, we still look at our president as a king. And that's a problem because we vote for a president thinking he's going to solve all our problems or ruin the world, and not understanding that in between him and us is like 13 layers of government that we don't know how it works. Collectively, we do.
So I just need to ask the Sharpies, and you can drop a comment in the line. I know when I was 7 years old, the way I learned the preamble was from Schoolhouse Rock, and I can tell you right now, 47 years later, I can still sing that song.
We the
The
people,
people,
in
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 order
order
to
order to
form a
form a
more
more
perfect
perfect
union.
union.
Boom, establish justice, ensure domestic tranquility. Boom, 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 boom. Provide for the common defense. Promote the
Oh,
general
general
welfare
welfare
and
and
secure the blessings of liberty to ourselves and our posterity to
to order.
ordain and establish this Constitution for the United States of America. That's what civics was. You knew splishing and splashing over the horizon. What could it be? Looks like it's going to be a new country. I'm just a bill. They took you through all of the steps. If
Yes.
Marjorie Taylor Greene played that as her wake up song, she'd have a more comprehensive understanding of her job than she does
Hmm.
now. That's
Right.
how
Yeah.
crazy.
You know, we could even do like, just go ahead and remix it for current, we could do a trap version. I'm just a bill. Skirt bill, rolling up on Capitol Hill. Skirt, skirt. I mean, we could do that.
You
Whatever
mean
makes
skirt?
people pay attention. Right.
Listen, it just like that dude who did all of the phonics and the numbers with the trap beats behind it with the little cute little animated black kids.
Hmm.
A. That
That
thing.
was fire.
We
But
we need we need that basically.
but you're asking someone who thinks they know everything to learn something,
Oh
You
yeah,
and
can't pour into a cup that's already full.
she's Dunning Kruger
so
to death. Like she's
Yes.
that's the picture. If you look up Dunning Kruger in the encyclopedia, it's Marjorie
Right.
Taylor Greene. Like,
Mhm.
um, but that's
I'm just glad that even in an extreme way, like the Republican Party, they might ride or die for Trump, but they ain't riding or dying for each other.
well, and certainly not people who would like to be Trump in their dreams, but actually are not. That I
Mm.
mean, that's the real thing. First of all, Marjorie, I hate to break it to you, he didn't claim to remember Silk from Diamond and Silk, and he shared a stage with those ladies for months. He ain't sweating you, and ain't nobody outside of your little couple little counties in your district sweating you
Mhm.
either.
And I'm gonna tell you right now, girl, hear me and hear me well. You ain't hot enough for him.
No, no.
I'm just saying.
Unless he squints real hard and thinks she's Marla Maples in that picture,
oh hell no,
because that's possible.
no, it's
Since
not.
since he made that same mistake with Jean Carroll in
There
a
are not enough
deposition.
bear goggles in the world to make that mistake.
Well, Chan is talking about bringing Song of the South as a film of historical record. Interestingly enough, and we trying not to get derailed. That's why
Mm.
we have these banners on screen to remind us what the hell we're supposed to be talking about.
You're
But
right.
since he brought up Song of the South, you
Yeah, I
know
know
that
you're
they
going.
closed Splash Mountain
Yep.
at Disney World
Hmm.
because, and I didn't even know this when I rode Splash Mountain as a kid, that it's built around the Disney movie Song of the South.
I did not know. I was today
Yes.
years old.
Right. And so they've closed it. They announced they were going to make a change in 2020 and then COVID, blah, blah, blah. But they finally closed it. And do you know some Disney files actually were selling bottles and plastic bags of Splash Mountain water, on what they allege is Splash Mountain water, on
If it
eBay?
is Splash Mountain water, they selling sweat and pee.
Viruses. Yeah. Just
Yes.
all kinds of
Corona,
foul
Megatron.
Biohazard in real life.
impox,
Right.
We
everything.
about to have a real Resident Evil on our hands real soon.
Well,
Right. This is how
exactly.
you get zombies.
Exactly. Now the good news is that when they reopen the attraction, it's going to be themed around Princess and the
Princess
Frog.
and the
It's going to
Frog,
be
yes.
Tiana's something adventure. So you've got the Bayou thing. It's going to be Bayou themed, probably
Okay.
with the
If they do
beautiful
the lightning
tree and
bug
all of
Bayou
that.
Lazy
Hmm.
River, that'll kind of be
Exactly.
cool.
So
Okay, I'm
that'll be a
feeling it.
neat thing. So no more Bramble, no more Uncle Remus, no more Zippity Doo Dah. It's all of that's going away. And to their credit, Disney has never re-released that. Like if you
Yes.
really were a fan, there was like a Japanese laser disc you could have gotten like 30 years ago. But you can't get none of it
They,
now.
But
yeah,
you know
they
what?
basically cleaning their vault of everything problematic.
Yeah. I do want to make a point though, even though Chan is over here being funny about bringing back old stuff, representation absolutely matters.
Hmm.
And film has more of an impact on the general psyche of the country or the world than we really want to admit.
Right.
I talk about this in the classes that I teach. I've talked about it before on the show. 1914, Birth of a Nation, funded
Hmm.
by the Ku Klux Klan, was, and if you adjust for the inflation of the dollar, still is one of the top 10 highest grossing films of all time. Everybody saw it. And if
Yep.
you don't know what it was about, basically a white dude in blackface pretends to be a black man, escapes from the South, and tries to find a white woman that he can
Assault.
assault. And the Klan rides in to save the day. The Klan funded the movie, and at the time, it had more realistic and lifelike graphics than anything it was the Matrix of its time,
And it has
right?
influenced the entire record of how
Hmm.
film continuity is established. It was
Yeah,
the template. Before, a lot of filmed presentations were basically like filming a play.
yeah,
But what he did, Griffith, what he did in making this film, he actually did. This man is walking out of a door, and then the shot picks up with him coming through the door on the other side. And then
it
there's a
felt like you were
close up.
there.
It was
Mhm.
there. And you know, it was screened at the White House.
Yes,
At the White House
screened at the
by
White
a
House. Think
super
about that.
racist Democratic president. I'm not even going to give him
Hmm.
any love. But the
No, we're
point
not.
is that it was that impactful. It transformed both cinema and what people considered to be the cinematic art. That's how
Right.
impactful it was.
But that's a movie that everyone at the time saw. If you think about it,
Exactly.
1914, we're in the middle of Jim Crow, segregation, et cetera, et cetera. Most white people, I'm talking 99% of white people,
Absolutely, yeah.
don't interact with black people. And their
At all.
experience of a black man is he came up here to rape a white woman. Jump forward 100 years, and you've got Dylan Roof shooting up a church saying they're coming to rape our women. That has stuck with us, and it's been used against black men time and time again. You
Again,
think about
Emmett Till.
Emmett Till. You think about most of the men that were lynched for even breathing too hard around a white woman. All the white women who have feigned some sort of attack, either to cover their own tracks or just to get somebody in trouble.
Hmm.
You think about that woman in New York who knew that if she started to cry on the phone, she
Hmm.
could get this black man in trouble. You know, all of this stems from even the Central Park Five.
Hmm.
Yep.
The idea that five teenage boys would brutally rape, blah blah blah, this white woman, and it turned out to be one guy who had nothing to do with them. But even then, um, that which never got cleared up, that idea, and for a generation of people, they believe that black men ran around in packs raping white women,
Hmm.
right? To the point that Mel Gibson, when he was having his crazy rant and he left that answer machine message on his wife's answer machine when they were getting divorced, he said, I hope you get done by a pack of another word I'm
Hmm.
not going to say. Where do you think that imagery comes from?
Comes from, yeah.
And so when you
And
talk about bringing back old stuff, as much as that same disaster hanging penis of a state, as much as they are trying to stop Black history, stop any other type of culture, stop any other type of sexual orientation other than hardcore Christian, according to what they believe, they're also trying to they're trying to return to the South that they never gave up. Somebody said recently, and I can't tell you who it was because I hear it all the time. This country has never been more divided. This country has never really been united. That's what we
Ever.
forget about.
Yeah.
I mean, even during the Revolutionary War, you had North and South. You had Yankees and Tories and Whigs and Yankees and everything else, and sympathizers, et cetera, et cetera. We've never gotten along. We've learned over certain time periods to chill, but we've never gotten along. And the same people that think, oh, this is unprecedented division, forget that we fought a whole ass war with each other over whether or not we could abuse another subset of this country. This country is not perfect.
mm-mm.
And all it takes is one generation of people seeing something like Song of the South or fucking Gone with the Wind or anything to say this is true. Think
Yeah.
about how many people used to attack soap opera stars on the street because they really believed she was cheating on Christopher or
Yeah.
whatever, right?
Insanity.
Yeah.
It is
Okay, I'm done.
insanity.
I'm done with my
Okay.
tirade. Yeah.
So, you know who is not done being caught in the crosshairs of controversy and drama in our weekly segment, which is going to be weekly, I feel, until he is removed. What in the hell is Santos doing? This week, the Democrats have decided that they gonna get this dude. They want this dude gone. In the aftermath of Kevin McCarthy denying seats on the Intelligence Committee for Adam Schiff, more on him later, and the other gentleman from I believe he's from California as well, because supposedly they were compromised, blah blah blah, and integrity and all these other things. Meanwhile, George Santos is on 2 committees when he has not gone a day without a quasi indictment or investigation in some capacity. The Democrats demanded that Santos be excluded from the classification ranking that would be necessary for him to review classified info. Because, I mean, duh, obviously.
We ain't really even sure he's supposed to be here.
Exactly. We're not sure he's a citizen yet. So.
Where's his birth certificate?
I know that's right.
Do we even know if he's an actual human being? I mean, Pinocchio still had to wait a while before that, which, you know,
Maybe
being
for real.
on his nose.
Yeah, I'm still looking for string. I've never seen him without a jacket. I don't know if he has bolts in the joints of his arms. I just saw Megan. That skin looks awfully fake to me. I don't know. There's a lot going on with George Santos, and it's like he can't even keep lies consistent for more than 24 hours. When the fuzzy picture of him in drag came out, that wasn't me. I'm not a drag queen. Then they had a high resolution, fully clear JPEG of him in that outfit, unambiguously him. Well, I was just a young kid having fun at a festival.
Mm-mm.
Girl.
Say that the first time then.
I mean,
No, they said that he was doing this for the better part of 3 years.
right.
And his
That's a
comeback
long
was,
festival.
it was a one-day festival and I was just having fun.
Yeah,
3 years in a row.
And the Burberry scarf, we talked about this last show, how his former roommate said he done stole my scarf. And then they had a picture of him in the Burberry scarf. There is nothing about this person.
He's irredeemable.
Nothing. Irredeemable. It is absolutely incredible. And yet he is still a sitting member of Congress because McCarthy only has a 4-vote margin. And if he is removed, the Democratic governor gets to appoint his replacement until there's a special election. And when there is a special election, there's not a ghost chance in hell it's going to be anything but Democratic. So he's desperate. And even though he knows it's hypocrisy, even though there was a whole tirade about drag queens doing story time at brunch and everything else, they are going to have this man in office. And his orientation is not the issue. Absolutely not the issue.
No reason to lie about it.
It's no reason to. I mean, you are openly gay with a whole ass husband. Like, why would you even go there? It was completely not an unforced error.
Even on top of that, he's a white man. Everything's acceptable for them.
Well, not Prince Andrew, and we didn't actually have him on the lineup. But y'all can Google Prince Andrew and King Charles III.
Well, over here, for the most part, white men get away with damn
over here, you can get away with anything, pretty much. I mean, Elon Musk, blah blah blah. So that's what the hell George Santos has been doing this week. Oh my gosh. We mentioned Schiff, and now it's time for the Schiff update. There's a whole lot of people essentially trying to push Dianne Feinstein out of her Senate seat. She did not announce that she was retired. Oh no, she needs to retire. She needs to go. She's making Joe Biden look like a fresh-faced sophomore at this point. And she's also taking some pretty controversial positions to be a Democratic lawmaker. But Joy, you've seen some of the people who are declaring, not surprisingly, Katie Porter, the latest one to declare, and possibly the most credible one as far as the general consensus is concerned, is Schiff. Schiff, who was a bit of a firebrand and who has now, basically made it plain. He did say he talked to Feinstein before he announced, so it may be that she has given him her explicit blessing. But what do you think, Joy, about the direction of the Democratic Party and how the removal of a person who has been such a fixture in the Senate coming forward in this next election cycle?
I think this is echoes of RBG.
Yes.
You've been here long enough.
Mm-hmm.
You've been here long enough for certain potentially, and this has not come to light. There's nothing happening right now, but potentially things that you thought it was safe to say in the past might come back to bite us all in the ass. Because remember, after Ruth Bader Ginsburg was gone, people used some of her more acidic comments around Roe v. Wade to say, see, she knew it was wrong too, and she wasn't there to defend herself. I don't wish any ill on the Honorable Feinstein. I'm just saying, you can take a nap. Like, go ahead and lay down. Enjoy the last, the phase of your life with your grandkids, family, et cetera, and choose your successor. Do
Mm-hmm.
that. Go ahead and, anoint somebody if you want to, even if it's someone that might be a little bit more central or might be a little bit more radical or whatever, but don't leave it open. It's for me, it's like whenever, especially in the Black community, when somebody dies, and then we don't know what we're doing. Everybody's scrambling. Let's sell some T-shirts to get money for the coffin and blah, blah, blah. Yes, when I found out that's why people sold those T-shirts, I was so hurt. But don't leave it in an uproar. She has a moment right now to say, I'm bowing out gracefully with my full mental faculties. Nobody can doubt that I know what I'm talking about. And I think this person is a good replacement.
Mm-hmm.
And continue your legacy by making that choice. I think that would be the right move right now.
I agree. James?
Yeah, Schiffen was the latest. There are two others. You mentioned Katie Porter, Barbara Lee is the other. So lots of Democrats are stepping up to run in the next election. And she has not even decided whether she's going to step down yet or not. She says she'll make a decision in 24. But I mean, that's when the election is. So maybe early 24, late 23. I don't know. But at 89,
No, she needs to figure it out.
You run your race as far as politics. Chill for, let some other folks carry on the torch.
Yeah, she needs to get it together.
The ice is mighty thin, chick. You playing with a lot of borrowed time right now.
Right? A lot.
Because I remember the year before Ruth Bader Ginsburg died, there were all these little snide comments about she's in the gym. She's totally healthy. She must be, put her in bubble wrap. She must be protected at all costs. If she had retired,
we wouldn't be
in Obama's first term.
Yep.
We wouldn't be here. Right?
I mean, we'd still have a court imbalance. We wouldn't have the imbalance that we have right now.
Right.
And that's the real issue.
It'd be 5'4" instead of 6'3", but
right. And I mean, frankly, if something were to happen to her during this term, we still have Newsom, and so the net result would probably be somewhat similar. But it would be better, I think. I agree, Joy, for her to move on and protect her legacy and make sure that what needs to happen for the sake of the country can happen with a person who is fully committed and ready and engaged to make decisions that are going to positively impact the country.
There's plenty of spry, young, eager, energetic 65-year-olds who are ready to take the reins at this point.
Exactly. I mean, and it's a shame that it has to be put in that context, but I mean, that's where we are. Frankly, it's just what it is. And so, we shall see. Obviously, we're still a little bit away, but it is 23. And so if they're announcing now, the reason they're announcing is that they intend to start raising money. Now, Adam Schiff is sitting on $20 million from his congressional campaign. And guess what? He doesn't need to spend anything to protect that congressional seat. There's not a chance that he is going to be facing a credible threat. But if he declares for the Senate, then he can use that war chest as the basis upon which to build his campaign. And I think it is probably very, very likely that if there were a presumptive front runner, then I would say it is probably at this point it's got to be Adam Schiff. Um, our next story is a slight left turn. It is something that is
In more ways than one.
in more ways than one. It came across our timeline. I wasn't sure what was going to happen with this, and I admit when I originally saw it on my timeline, I had a different reaction because when you hear about a white high schooler who is an outstanding recruit for a five-star quarterback recruit who is on his way to University of Florida and gets denied for using a racial slur, you think, man, how disappointing.
Damn.
But it turns out that Mr. Marcus Stokes was on camera reciting some rap lyrics.
Mhm.
And so, because the rap song contained the N word, he sang it because he's a fan of the song. Now, I don't say that word. I've made my feelings about that word quite clear and quite present. But I do think I have a son who is that age. And although his friends have enough sense, certainly not to say that in front of me, and I've never heard them say it to my son or my son's other friends who are black on their little Discord chats and everything else, it is not surprising to me that a white kid who grew up in a certain environment and may have had people around him and is listening to music
Mhm.
might recite that lyric. Except that this is what the kid looks like. Look at the pose and tell me if you think what his intent was about using that word. Now look at the boy. He is in a legit
Oh
b
my
boy
God.
stance,
Oh my God. Oh my God. Oh my God. Wait,
and
wait.
you
What
can
was
see
that
he's got
dude's
a
name?
which one?
Oh, Jamie Gr-
Oh,
Green
Jamie Kennedy.
Jamie
Kennedy.
Kennedy,
Yes.
Yes,
Malibu's Most Wanted.
Malibu's Most
Yes.
Wanted. Right. So
Yes.
you can see. So let's just dissect this picture. First of all, he's got frosted orange bangs. Now I don't know if he did that to either be a Trump fan or to align with that Gator
It's a
orange.
gator thing.
But he
Mhm.
also he's got a farmer's tan, bro. Like you can see his upper,
Mhm.
like his triceps are
Mhm.
milky white, but then the bicep, I don't know. I guess is throwing. He's a right-handed, so his left arm is all tan, and he's in this b-boy stance. And of all places, that ASU, that's not Arizona State, that's Albany State,
Mhm.
who has extended him an invitation to come. Now, for Albany State, that's a come up, a five-star quarterback
Yep.
at Albany State. I don't know that it was going to happen otherwise, but I will just say if Albany State has determined that he was not being racist and hateful,
Mhm.
I don't have any problem with it. You going ahead and do the thing, Albany, and
And get
hopefully,
this football money.
I'm just
Man,
saying,
just
get that boy some retinol A and a scholarship and keep it pushing. Because I'll tell you right now, his NIL needs to be with Clearasil or something because
Boo.
it's rugged. I can say that. I'm not calling him the W word. So
Now,
look.
I want to put up this comment by Latoya Foster, and also love the hair babe. At this point, they know better. I have no sympathy. Yeah, we don't need sympathy for him because he's all right. But at the same time, I have been around young white men that I have heard use the N word with the correct intonation, with the correct bass in their voice. Here's what happened. I was in Vegas, and we were not on the
Uh
strip.
oh.
We
uh
were
oh,
walking through, the local area, the other little like locals strip town downtown or whatever. Return of the but
Mm,
we're like maybe 20 feet ahead of a couple of guys behind us, and they are looking for their car, right?
mm,
So we're just walking. You just overhear people's conversation, and I'm hearing um
N
Ninja,
word.
the
Yeah.
car is over here. Look, Ninja, I'm telling you, bro. We left it back here. Nah, Ninja, it's over here. And I was thinking to myself, I should tell these young black boys that they shouldn't use this word in public so freely. And I turn around like,
In sync.
yes, yes. One
Bye
looked like
bye bye.
It was like seeing those two white kids, those two white guys from Boondocks. Like I thought
Jen Rummy and
with
Ed
my
what,
whole
the
mind
third.
that they
Right.
were black. And I realized in that moment, one, they clearly didn't have any historical context of why what they were saying was
None.
bad. They had no clue. I didn't have time to educate them, and they weren't doing any harm to anybody. They weren't doing it to be inflammatory. That's how they spoke to each other.
Right.
Now that's probably part of a larger problem, but there was no
Yep.
animosity
Mm-mm.
or degradation behind their use of that word. And so him singing those lyrics, I feel like that's the same thing, especially with that pose I just saw.
Bruh.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
And I
but
will
He
what I
tell you
will say
this.
this,
Oh, go
I
ahead.
will say this, I think that he has been so adjacent to black culture as to be able to absorb it and feel, at least singing lyrics. He probably would never say that N word to anybody,
Hmm.
adjacent, but not embedded. If
Right.
he had been
mm,
embedded in black culture, like my friend who we affectionately call White Mike back in Morehouse, Mike would never say that, even
nah.
rapping in the lyrics, because he's close enough to us to know he will never be that cool, right?
But here's the difference. I'm gonna push back a little bit
Okay.
on this. I'm gonna push back on they should know better by now and everything else. I'll tell you right now, there are enough black people in his peer group, in his cohort, that if that were the common nomenclature and he had said it and was accepted, it's just like, you can give a white person a black card. It's
Yeah.
not something that I don't use the word at all. So I don't give it any credence. But I will say, I would bet you dollars to donuts that those white guys who were referring to each other casually in that way as a term of endearment would never fix their mouths to use it pejoratively.
Yeah.
I bet you they never
Never.
would. It was
They would
just
never
for
look and say
them.
you inward. That's just not
Right,
No,
happening.
no, they would never do that. But I
right,
will say this for this kid, Stokes, I'm pretty sure he had a Carlton around him that pretty much didn't mind him saying the word.
right.
For those who
Mhm.
haven't watched an updated Fresh Prince, Carlton on the lacrosse team pretty much let all his
Boom,
white teammates rap it
boom,
and had no problem with it whatsoever.
at
So yeah,
all.
I'm pretty
Doing the
sure he had a
schmony
little
dance.
Carlton around him. I was like,
Mhm.
oh
Right.
no, it's perfect. I'm okay with it. So it's perfectly fine.
I I totally agree. I think it may have been. I don't think it was a Carlton though, because I feel like Carlton was allowing it to happen to fit in with where he was the only black person in the room.
Right.
And
Mhm.
so he let it happen in order to be accepted. I think that this guy might have been in several rooms where he was probably either 50-50, maybe he was the only white guy. And similar to Dave Chappelle's white writer friend, whose name I always forget, but
Yeah, his partner,
his
Yeah, I know
partner,
you're talking
his
Neil,
about, yeah.
partner,
Neil
Neil.
Drummond.
Neil
Neil
told a
Drummond.
story
Yeah.
in his stand up about everyone in the room, they would call him the N word all the time. And they'd be like, oh, what's up, my N word? And he'd be
Right.
like, hello, because he knew he couldn't say it until finally he's like, I think he asked them, y'all say it to me all the time. Is it okay if I say it back? He said, and they had a meeting.
Right.
And they decided, okay, yes, you can say it, around us, but don't get caught out there, call us if something happened to you out in the streets. And he was going down the street singing a Biggie song. N words is mad. I get more bass than
Right.
ashtrays,
Get more
get more
butts and
butt than
ashtrays.
ashtrays
Yeah.
or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And somebody stopped him, like, what you say at what point? And he goes, do you know Marcus? And they
Okay.
call Marcus like, Mark, oh yeah, he's cool or whatever. So yeah, I think there
Oh
are
God.
instances where, depending on the culture that you're in or whatever, but you also still know, don't be getting caught out in these streets, etc. I want to address this comment though.
Right.
Yvonne DeBole says, question, would the Jewish people find it acceptable to make racial slurs against their race? And the answer is
Absolutely
they
no.
don't. But that's we tend to want to make that comparison a lot. Let's be real. We've
Right.
done it to ourselves. You don't hear Jewish music with
You
Jewish
sure
slurs
don't.
in it.
You
Nope.
sure
You don't
don't.
hear them calling each other Jewish slurs
You sure
as
don't.
affection. You don't hear them trying to readopt Jewish slurs into their vocabulary the way we have attempted, at least at some point in every generation. So that is a false equivalency. But I do understand what you're saying. If we had ever taken a stance, a hard line of the sand like Tom, and nobody use it, we're not using it, nobody uses it, which people challenge us as black people with all the time, then we want to come back and say, but it's my culture, it's my song. I know when I'm doing. Okay, you can't have it both ways.
You
Right.
can't.
Either you make music and music is accessible by all, so you know that you're putting out there some situation in which it's okay to say that, then people are going to continue to challenge us on how come I can't say it.
And
And
we
then
had a
something.
Well, we had this follow-up comment about, so you're saying that he hasn't met the right one yet. Someone will enlighten. He's already been enlightened. The University of Florida
absolutely.
was the right one. The
Yeah.
University of Florida said, hell no, we
You
are
can't
not
come here.
going for that.
Right.
And no PWI would touch his ass. A
None.
5-star recruit, baby Tom Brady. Nobody would touch him because they were that afraid of the fallout. And Albany State, and see, this is what I'm saying, racial slurs, da 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 da. If he's in a party, right? If it were a house party part 4, Marcus gets took, then what would happen is he'd be in the middle of the party and he's saying N-word, get more butt than ashtrays, and it'll be a record skip. It would go zip, and then every black person in the room would stop
Look
and
at
then
him.
turn at him, and then somebody would clock him. I bet you every party he went to, if he's jumping up on the floor and shouting those lyrics, nobody even batted an eye. And that's because culturally, people from our generation, people older than me, might take greater offense. There are plenty of young people. There's some revolutionary young people who don't go for it. Like Chan says, that card isn't accepted everywhere. There are some people who take a really strong stance against it. But a lot of people, as the father of a 21-year-old woman who doesn't use the word, and a 19-year-old son who uses it with more comfort than
alacrity.
I need alacrity. And he knows every time, and his friends know, if he's talking to his friends on the phone and I come to the door, hey Tom, blah blah blah, he's like, I'm talking to my dad. And then they check themselves.
Wow.
Because they know they'll get a lecture. Because I will say, you know what, I need to stop your conversation. And this is why. And you're saying this word and you don't understand the impact. And what you don't really fully appreciate is that you can tell me all day long that you use it as a term of endearment. But as soon as somebody steps on your Jordans, you're going to throw F in front of it and use it as a denigrating term. And I said, you can't live with that dichotomy in your head and pretend like you were mentally correct. It's not possible. You can't simultaneously hold those two absolutely opposing viewpoints as a sense and as a marker of self and be mentally healthy. So I'm not trying to hear it, and they know they don't want to hear it anymore. Mr. Cunningham's around, so shut up. That's fine. I'm good with that. Just don't say it in front of me, and hopefully you'll think about it the next time you think I might be around the corner. Should I say this or not? That's a cool thing for me. I don't mind, but
I think a better cultural equivalence is women of all races and their relationship with the B word.
Right.
We got T-shirts out, baddest B. I'm that B, boss B. A B is tired.
The baddest.
You had what's your girl? A B is old today. She put out that song when she turned 50 or whatever. But then let either one of y'all, and I love y'all, let y'all come out y'all mouth. I will drive to where you are and sock you in the nuts. So there is that, like you talk about that sense of identity, but I also, I remember when I was in college, we had a women's studies class and our professors trying to get us to understand that you could not live with those two things in your head. Right. And we were I remember them trying to get us to stop listening to Luke. And we were like, I'll be right back. I'm going to go shake my ass for the next 7 hours. Right.
Come on. Yeah, so it's something that we live with. I'm not, I feel that if this young man, if this is one of those life lessons, he's only 17, 18, his mind isn't fully formed. If this is the thing that puts him on the right path to a real and honest and better understanding about what it means to be Black in this country and how it is important for you to appreciate nuance and appreciate context and appreciate that there are just some things you don't have to do. If the radio station can censor a bad word or a weed reference, you can self-censor. And you need to take that into your brain as something that is appropriate for you to deal with.
And I go back to go ahead.
No, I would say I'm all for second chances. I wasn't expecting HBCU to do it, but if we're reaching out, because he also said he got an offer from Alabama A&M as well, so that's two HBCUs.
Right.
My thing is Division II and Division III didn't touch him either.
Right.
Like,
no,
I truly hope he learns from this like and like it clicks going forward, because D1 pretty much was a pathway to pros.
Right.
HBCU, not so much.
Well, it happens. I mean, Shannon Sharp, but
Rare.
I mean, and it is rare. But the
rare.
point is
today
that
it's rare. But
to what I would say is go to Albany State, because I don't want you in the SWAC if you're a 5-star. So stay away from Alabama.
Really, this is what we doing?
It is what I'm doing. Go right to them Golden Rams, bro. Go right to Albany. You stay away from us.
But even though it's rare for someone from an HBCU to make it to the pros, he will be watched. Because he's going to be an anomaly. He's going to be a curiosity.
Exactly.
And I mentioned earlier about the difference between being adjacent and being embedded. He will be embedded in Black culture. Yes, I can't wait till he gets his first, like, collard greens, cornbread, dinner or whatever that he hasn't had before, or his first girlfriend in college. We can see how all this goes.
I'm saying that melanin may be more powerful than retinol A.
Y'all don't understand. It'll clear up his skin. I'm not even gonna get into that. But
so
wait. But my point is, he'll be followed. He'll be seen. They will keep an eye on him for the entire time of his matriculation. Because think about the recently the first Hispanic drum major at Jackson State.
Yes, at Jackson State, yes.
I don't pay no attention to Jackson State, right? But I know him. Because he was a visual anomaly and he was a curiosity and he got a lot of publicity. And next thing you know, Deion Sanders' kid is marching next to him and they playing around on the field. Another photo op. Yeah. That boy is going to be noticed.
Oh, yeah.
And this kid is going to be noticed in a way that he may have faded a little bit at a PWI because he's just another one. But he's going to stand out and he's really freaking good.
Yep.
He's going to lead some teams to some level of improvement and championship. And they'll be watching him. Yeah.
It doesn't matter what Albany State does. When his sophomore year ends, he's hitting that transfer.
Oh, absolutely, he is.
He's hitting the portal, and then some D2 or D3 school was probably going to pick him up.
Right, because he will have been washed in the blood of an HBCU. So what we really depend on is whether or not he feels like the institution that gave him a chance is worthy of him using his talents there, or if he is actually going to travel. And odds on he's going to take the portal. But we shall see. Wherever he ends up, we know it's going to be on HBCU Newswire, and homecoming's going to be lit, and There's going to be a lot going on, especially if Albany State has a spectacular season. So
because it's not a new thing. Like I mentioned, like I started Spelman College in 1991. And the freshman dorm, I want to say it was Graves Hall in Morehouse College. There was a guy named Mike, ironically, on every floor. So you had like Detroit Mike, you had Lotion Mike, because Mike, that one was always lotioned up or whatever. You had one dude whose name was Bass. I want to explain why. And you had White Mike.
Right.
And White Mike was white. He was from the South Side of Chicago at Morehouse on a minority scholarship.
Yeah.
Right.
Wow. Right.
The only one.
He was minority. We are Facebook friends to this day, and he's always been cool. And us calling him White Mike was not seen as a negative or in an insult. It was just how we differentiated you from the other Mikes in the hall. We never had a problem with him. He was always down for the cause. He's married to a Black woman right now. Embedded in our culture and in bed with our culture. Activist heart, though. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, he's gonna stand up, and I would love to see this kid, especially as he's going to continue to be watched in his career, stand up for better treatment in the NFL one day. You know what I'm saying?
Long shot.
Well, I mean, Jerry Jones could take a few lessons because he still hasn't learned from Dak. Well, I mean, I'm just saying, everybody's waiting for a Black coach for the Cowboys. And the way Dak keeps failing, I'm not even going to get into it.
Don't get into it. Look, as long as Jerry's still breathing, there will never be a Black coach in Dallas.
Well, that is possible. But let's move on to our actual big story. This has been a long show already, but we could not close the show. We couldn't speak on this show without addressing the issue of the Tyree Nichols video. And this is Tyree. The latest and most prominent victim of police violence. The execrable twist in this case is that the five police officers, former now police officers, and all about to be charged, were black.
Mm-hmm.
Black men beat this man to death.
Chased and beat him to death.
Chased and beat him to death. Held him up as if he were a punching bag and beat him. And, you know, there are a couple of big takeaways from this horrific situation. I'm gonna let everybody jump in. I just want to say this to start. Protect the blue, right? Until the blue is black.
Mm-hmm.
And now, ain't no defend the police, ain't no blue lives matter, ain't no nothing. It was 5 black men who beat another black man, a black female police chief who fired them. And now they have now it's been a while since the murder actually happened, but as soon as the case came to national attention, they have already been charged with murder.
Mm-hmm.
And the people who shot Breonna Taylor, Philando Castillo left. I mean, his guy left, but was hired someplace else.
Yeah.
Alton Sterling. All of these people still wandering around the earth just fine. Mm-hmm. The only one to catch a whole lot of heat is the murder of George Floyd, and they're trying to get that conviction overturned.
Right. Let's not also forget that the other black police officer who shot that white woman in Minneapolis, he was a Somali police officer.
Oh, yep. Mm-hmm.
One of the first ones.
They threw him under the bus and backed it up over him.
I mean, under the bus, cleaned out the bus tracks and ran over him again.
Mm-hmm. They parked the bus in his chest. And what aggravates me about all of this is people trying to distract from the violence and say, this is basically trying to say this is black on black crime. Well, it's not a race issue because the cops are black. And what I want people to understand about the relationship that black people, men and women, but black people have with the police has nothing to do with the color of the police. It has to do with the color of their victimized suspect person, whatever that they have in custody. No matter what color the cop is, police officers are trained to treat black men specifically as combatants, not suspects, not, person of interest, combatants. War. They wage war on black men. It's different than just suspecting somebody, picking them up. Think about all the videos we've seen of white folks losing their mind and punching cops and running and stripping off their clothes and running around naked and doing all kind of stuff and then getting away or getting subdued, shooting at police, waving a knife around, have a chance to go to jail and go home or whatever. Right. This man was running for his life, and police, that's the common denominator, not the color of the police.
Not the color of this police.
The color of the uniform.
Right.
That's what matters. So the whole blue, and because what we've seen when it's a black police officer, all of a sudden they use that to say, oh, we're not corrupt. It's not a police brutality issue. Look, we will punish these police officers, but they tend to only punish the black ones because they are also disposable. Now, I'm not excusing what these men have done at all. They committed murder, but they only seem to have black police officers held accountable. And that one white woman that they also try to overturn, they're not going to try to overturn this. They're not going to try to overturn the Somali cop in Minneapolis. Yeah, Amber Geiger, they're trying to overturn her shit. Yeah, because they feel bad, and it's been long enough. We should let them out. No, fuck that shit.
Nope. No, and again, to circle back what I said earlier, white and male.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So even as cops and like blue lives, this and all the other BS. No, if you're white and male, especially as a cop, they will try to protect you to the ends of the earth, no matter what wrong you've done, especially murdering us, but any other race, any other sex, y'all can go. Y'all can go. I remember when, Jennifer Hudson's nephew, I'm drawing a blank, 12-year-old, he had a toy gun.
Oh, that's Jennifer Hudson's nephew?
Yeah.
You're thinking about, it's not Tamir Rice. It's another one.
Yes, Tamir Rice.
No, that's Jennifer Hudson's nephew?
Yeah.
I did not know that.
They're if not her nephew, they're related in some way.
Cousin or something.
Okay.
Yeah. They're related in some way. Um, I remember a black woman police officer spoke out shortly
Yep.
after that came to light. They made her give a press conference to apologize and then subsequently relieved her of her duties
Hmm.
because she went viral for chastising the cops who shot a 12-year-old kid.
I can't put the details because, sadly enough, police brutality against black bodies happens so often that I can't remember which case this is about. But I remember there was a black woman who had tried to restrain one of her white male counterparts because
Buffalo, New York. Yes,
he was
I
beating up
know that one.
somebody. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And they relieved her, took her pension, took everything from
Everything.
her, and then he did it again and
Not
again
only
and
did he do
again
it again, he kept doing it.
until
Was
he got caught.
allowed to retire with full pension,
Yeah.
and then within the 5+ years since he retired from the police, was arrested multiple times for aggravated and drunken assault. And then she's still fighting. I think she finally did get her pension,
Yeah. It
but
took
it
a
took
decade or something.
it took at least 10 years for her to get it. Meanwhile, they finally threw him in jail.
It's disgusting what we face in this country. We committed as a show to not show the footage. The footage is there.
Absolutely not.
It is not something for you. It is not something for you to consume unless you are a person who just wants to be assaulted with the
It's
horrific
traumatic.
nature of the violence that these five black men uh, committed against this fellow brother.
Hmm.
It's stunning, and so we couldn't do the show without referencing it. And we're going to segue from Tyree Nichols, since we've been talking about the history of racism in this country, with an exhortation for you to watch the 1619 Project, which is on Hulu.
Mm-hmm.
Um, this is something that is long in the coming. I mean, when you think about it, the 1619 Project debuted in 2019 because it was the
Hmm.
400th anniversary, and so here we are, just 3 years later, and this is something that will provide some balance. It's not something. It's not like just a feel good
Hmm.
program per se,
And
but
I
it is
love Hulu for doing this.
right.
Right on the cusp of Black History Month, and not
Exactly.
waiting until February 1st to do it. But
Right.
also, this is a way, if you want to be an ally,
Hmm.
let
Engage.
your family, because it's relatively family friendly. I wouldn't show it to a
Right.
5-year-old, but
No,
a
no.
12-year-old,
Yeah,
absolutely.
Yes,
sure. People
absolutely.
who are
Um,
old enough to understand and appreciate the
right.
importance of the messaging, sure.
Right. And I'm glad that Hulu has taken this stance because they could have out of hand said, we're not going to put this out because it's so controversial. She's had her issues with the collegiate,
Hmm.
with academia. You got the whole state of, well, Santos, which is representing the whole state of Florida, saying we don't want to teach Black people exist. So
Right.
there's a whole lot that they could have just kind of took a pass on this. And I applaud them for letting it run. And I hope that they don't stop it on February 28th. I hope they let this be one of the things you can always find on Hulu.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
I think Nicole Hannah Jones has done a remarkable job. She faced a lot, as you were alluding to, Joy, a lot of institutional blowback in academia. By the way, this is not critical race theory.
No.
Just
No, it's history.
for
History.
It's
everybody
basic
in
history.
Florida or in a
Mhm.
place that has more syllables than IQ points in their name. Um, this is not critical race theory. This is an examination of the history of our experience in this country, and it's factually based, grounded in research and real rigorous academic study, which
Mhm.
is more than can be said for anybody in the GOP Congress right now. So don't let Jim Jordan, GYM, ignorer of pedophilia and sexual molestation. Don't let him direct you to believe that this program is anything other than an academic examination of the history of race in this country. And it is something that anyone who is a citizen of this country should be proud and engaged with trying to absorb and participate in.
And I'm gonna tell you something that happened to me today. I went to lunch with a new friend of mine. She's trying to come into the diversity and inclusion space. So we were having a whole discussion. We're gonna mentor her, etc. And I talked to her about we were talking about CRT and about this show, etc. And I told her, I said, you know what, when we think about when you think about history and like just showing the fullness of history, I said, so much of it has been whitewashed. I said, and I told her how I had done a presentation where I asked people, who was the first person to give their life in defense of the thought of the United States? Right. Who was the first person to lose their life in the American Revolution? And she was like, Crispus Attucks. And I said, of course, you know it. I said, now I asked that audience, did you know what color he was? What did he look like? And of course, people are scared to answer because they know it's a trick question. And I put up a picture. I said he was Native American and Black, a person of color, was the first person to die for this country before it was even a country. And the reason I bring this up is when we talk about the Black people's contribution, white folks love to say that they fought and died for this country, and that Black people didn't even get into the military or whatever until World War II or the Korean War, whatever. They forget about the Harlem Hellfighters in World War I. They forget about the Buffalo Soldiers. They forget about the Revolutionary War. They forget about that we fought in every war that has been here, including being the first people of color to die for this country. And I saw there was this little old white man who had been clocking our conversation the whole time, and kind of like he was looking at us like, y'all too loud, and we were just like, we're gonna be loud. Move. And I noticed when I started talking about this, he was looking and he was looking, and that how somebody stiffens up, like he was ready to be like, no, you're wrong, and he pulled out his phone. And I'm seeing him as I continue to talk. I am watching him because I know what he's doing. He looked up Crispus Attucks. I know he did. And then he's just scrolling. And then he's looking to see if I'm looking at him, and I'm trying to pretend I'm not, because I see you. I see you learning right now. Scrolling. And he just put his phone up and he walked out. You're going to have to sit with that. Sit with that, old man. And I commend him for at least looking it up and not trying to just come over to us and tell us we were liars or whatever. You're going to have to live with the fact that your whole life ideology is challenged in this moment when you realize that Black people are here too, and we are just as good as you are. All of this goes back to the inability of a subset of white people to separate their personal identity from the concept of white supremacy. They want to be white because they think white is better. And when you say white isn't better, it's just the same as everything else, they lose their sense of self. And that's why they keep saying, you will not replace us. They keep saying, we built this country, nobody else, we don't want to hear. This is all making my kids feel bad about being white. It's not making your kids feel bad about being white. You know what? If you really want to break it down, let's go ahead and run some DNA tests on everybody, and we can start doing Italian heritage and Irish heritage and British heritage, and then we can roll it back. Let us get some DNA, and we can do multiple West Coast mixed heritage. What do we want to do? We can just get rid of the idea of Black and white altogether.
The irony of all of those different heritages that you outlined just now is that they're already but they are already accepted AP courses
in Florida. Yeah,
all of them.
But
the only
difference
ones that
between those, even Japanese culture, is an accepted AP course. The difference between those and Black African American studies is they don't have to feel bad about Italian or Japanese or Asian or what have you. A little bit for Japanese, but it's a cultural AP class, and they do maybe amount of time on the internment camps.
Yeah.
You can't do an African American studies class and get away from slavery, Jim Crow, lynching, all of the trauma that has been put upon us. Also, there's no Native American studies either.
Oh, exactly.
Of course not.
But quietly, white people don't mind feeling inferior to Japanese people.
You got to say something real stupid.
I mean, they don't. because Japanese people are supposed to be smart. They're fine with that. They make the watches and the iPhones and whatnot. Chinese people make iPhones, by the way. I'm just saying. They don't feel threatened by
Hang on.
them in
Hang on.
this country.
Right. Chan, I'm gonna tell you right now. Look at here, little bruh. You got one more time to drop one of these gems in the chat, and we're gonna block you until you
Yeah,
come on the show.
until you come on the show.
hmm Now,
So
sit on that.
I put up the picture of because we were talking about critical race theory. This is Jonathan Harris's painting,
Love this painting.
and you can see
Awesome.
there's Harriet Tubman, there's Malcolm X, there's Martin Luther King. I'm not sure who's over Martin Luther King's show. It might be Medgar Evers. But you can see this blonde-haired dude who looks like he's in, like
In his 20s.
a FIFA kit, is just painting over all of these iconic persons who had so much impact and import in our nation's history. This is called critical race theory, and it is a perfect encapsulation of one of the precepts of critical race theory, not the whole idea of critical race theory, because it's a complex paradigm of a lot of intellectual and academic functions, but the idea of the erasure of Black importance and impact on this country is a part of what is in the fabric of this country. And that is what critical race theory is about, analyzing this country and our experience through the lens of race. And so
specifically through the lens of legal action that has been put in place to diminish and disenfranchise people, Black people in specific. And so what DeSantis is doing right now, that's what we're talking about. Deciding if you're going to pass a law to stop Black people from being able to talk about Black history at all, that is going to be added to the curriculum of critical race theory on a high level in legal schools.
Right.
You are doing the thing right now that you're mad about.
I'm going to post, I'm just going to throw this banner up just in case anybody wants to do a screen grab. The brother's name is Jonathan Harris, and this is his painting, Critical Race Theory. And
they hate it.
They hate it.
Oh, of course
they hate the accuracy. The accuracy, as the young kids might say. So we are ready, I think, Joy. We ready to close before we have our last little thing that we want to talk about today?
I believe so.
Okay, so
yes.
We have a segment called Ending on a Positive Note. We've had a bunch of stuff today. This has been a supersized show. That's fine. We've had a supersized panel. Thank you for our special guest, James Herndon. And so, ending on a positive note, this is an old story, but it popped on my timeline today. And the brother is still in his position, so it's still germane. So, are you going to display, Joy?
Yes.
Okay.
So I'll read this to you because it's going to come up small. So, Gabe Saunier was a janitor for Louisiana elementary school. In 1985, the principal pulled him aside and said, "I'd rather see you grading papers than picking them up." So at the age of 39, Gabe started studying. He got his teaching degree, and shortly after, his first teaching job. In 2013, he became the principal of the same school he cleaned for 27 years. And now in 2023, 10 years later, he's still principal of that school.
Sweet.
Come on now. That's an amazing. And look at him. The little girl is hugging him.
Her principal is Black. Think about that.
Her principal is Black, and a person
in
Louisiana who used to clean up the trash in that school. But according to Ron DeSantis, he doesn't exist.
No, that's critical race theory because he's Black. Yeah, because they focus on the word race.
Right.
Yeah. We're not going to talk about, basically he said, don't say gay, don't say Black. That's what we're doing down in Florida.
Don't say blay.
Right.
I will
God
say this about
you
that
Black
story.
and gay.
I will say this about that story that in high school, I was lucky enough to have a Black male principal. So that, and although it was a private school, he helped a lot of us young Black males in that school. Was pretty much just like either second father or uncle to us. So to have black men in positions in education, especially in administration, principal, assistant principal, whatever have you, even teachers, is something that was rare growing up, especially in our generation. You know, we had a black teacher 9 times out of 10, it was a woman. You know, black males teaching or even in administration was just an oddity. And I didn't have an abundance of that until I got to college. But that was the first black male I saw in administration or education in a teaching format was when I got to high school. So,
yeah, I never had a black principal of either gender throughout my academic upbringing. And as a matter of fact, I can recall one black teacher at my school in 6th grade. That was in Fairfield, Connecticut, so no surprise there weren't an abundance of black folks. But I never even took a class from him. I just saw him in the hallways occasionally, but never, just until I got to FAMU, which is of course blackity black.
Right.
It just wasn't a thing. And so this brother's story is absolutely inspirational. There are a couple of my chapter brothers from FAMU. One is the superintendent in Jupiter, and one is a superintendent in Miami. And so to know that those black men are impacting the lives of this current generation is something that makes me particularly pleased. So this story was just so awesome. As soon as I saw it, I pasted it in our little group chat. And so it was an amazing way, I think, to end this week's show.
Yeah. And I just want to just throw my little 2 cents in, because I do think this has shaped my life. Like I said, I'm an activist. I teach diversity and inclusion. I do voter canvassing. I'm a member of Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Incorporated for the last going on 25 years. And I can think back to Miss Sarai, who was my 3rd grade teacher, and she was black. I had a couple other black teachers after that. I had one crazy white woman that taught me in 8th grade and told my mother that black people didn't have the capability for math. Then I went on to go to a magnet school in Houston, a magnet school called the High School for Health Professions, now called the Bakey High, still one of the premier high schools in Houston, started by Perry Weston, a black man in the with a history and ties in the medical center in Houston, got a lot of his home people from the medical center to come and be professors or teachers, whatever you want to call them, in that school. So we have Mr. Goffney, black man with freckles. We have Mr. Johnson, chemistry major, who took the MCAT for fun, got a perfect score just to see if he could do it. So I'm seeing black excellence at every level of my life. Right. And I absolutely think when I got to Spelman, seeing like smart black people wasn't new to me, and I think similar to if you go through the very many tweets of Michael Harriot, he mentions something similar, that he had black activism around him his entire life, which shapes the way he sees the world now. You are never going to get me to believe black people can't do any damn thing. Never will I believe that, because I've seen it all. And I thank my parents and God for the upbringing that I had.
Well, I think that is a perfect message to close the show with. I want to thank Joy. Actually, Joy, you go on ahead and thank him, because he's your friend. Go ahead and
we ain't friends, Tom? We ain't boys no more?
I mean, we friends now. I mean, I'm just saying.
I didn't Rick James your couch.
It was it was amazing. We have to say that the Sharpie community is an inspiring thing. We do this out of love, and the love that we feel from our Sharpie community is what gets us here week after week. And so when Joy suggested that James would be the person to kind of kick off this running commentary of special guests, then that it was very exciting. And I think you've been an amazing contribution to the show. Your insights have been really solid, amazing contributions. And so we hope that if you, as a Sharpie, and we're kind of on the fence, Chan, about maybe coming on the show, Chan, that you can see that we're cool.
Yeah.
It's easy going. It's a flow, and you are going to be able to make the sort of contribution that you have seen us make, and we want you as a part of our community. And so we really do want to see more of you. You can reach out to us at steelsharpensshow@gmail.com, or hit me or Joy or Chuck or Sharon on our profiles, our
Hit
social media
me or
profiles.
Tom,
Well, yeah, I guess for
because
right
Chuck
now.
and Sharon
Yeah.
are in this
They're
are
they're occupied.
occupied
Right.
for
You
the
can hit me at Tom is talking on the things, but I will tell you, I'm Generation X. All right, and
call him.
I'm almost a boomer, so I'm a Zoomer. So you
Call
can
him
text
on the
me.
landline.
Right, but you don't have my text because I didn't give you my phone number. But if I'm on Facebook, and so I'm easy to find on Facebook. And of course, if you send it to Steel Sharpen Show, Steel Sharpen Show actually comes to my phone now. I was able to set that up. So
Right.
if
And a
you
lot
do,
of you are on our Facebook page watching right now. All you have to
exactly.
do is on that page, send
Yeah,
us a
type it
message.
in the thing. Yeah,
Mhm.
send us a direct message and we'll get it. And so thank you, Anthony Turner. Chan, you're on notice, bro.
Yeah.
You are on the TIS of
With
no.
the number one liners you dropped tonight, bro.
You
Come on.
stop fronting. Stop fronting.
Mhm.
I
They
say
ain't
y'all
here to
go
see
ahead
you,
and do it.
Otis.
They don't bite.
Exactly. Thank you. You know what? Mm-mm. Lies. I'll say this, Chan. You can even come on with an audio avatar, so it can just be little lines of bubbles going around your face.
Mhm.
But we need you to come on the show, bro. There are people. I don't want people who are socially awkward or who have
Tell you what,
different
Chan,
ways of operating.
you can come on and turn the lights out and do that like a witness protection thing, and then just type,
Yeah,
fix your voice, whatever you want to do, or just type and then we'll put your comments up just like everybody else, but you'll be sitting there in witness protection on the show.
yeah. There's we if you're neurodivergent, we good. We'll figure it out. Come on,
Hmm.
just bring it,
But we
and
love to have you all here,
we
and we
would.
thank you for rocking with us for an hour and a half tonight. Thank you for the collective IQ of our audience is impressive.
Howard
You know,
Dean. We throw a comment out, and we always get the answer. So yes,
yeah.
somebody affirmed James that it did take a decade, but she did get her pension.
Yes.
We can count on you guys to give us the answers that we need when I'm too slow to Google. So um, we,
Y'all
we
know the what do you call it? The Zoomer. Y'all know what this means. This means
yeah.
Google it because I can't remember.
Exactly. Y'all got it. Y'all got it. Watch 1619 Project on Hulu. Do that in between uh, this week and next week. Go on ahead and do that. And we will be back. And for more of this program, I'm Tom Cunningham.
I'm Joy Stevens.
I'm James Herndon.
And this is Steel Sharpens Steel. Thank you, everybody.
Good night.